What if one day you woke up and you couldn't access your money? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today, we're going to talk about that bank holiday. You've seen it before in history, and yes, of course, it could happen again. Remember how banks work. They have to keep a very small percentage in reserves, which actually right now in the United States is 0%. But typically, they would only have to keep a small amount and they can loan out the rest. And this allows them to maximize their gains. But what happens when a small percentage of people start to pull their money out? They call that a bank run. And when that occurs in the digital realm, it can happen virtually instantaneously and cause chaos in the financial system. Well, this is happening right now, and it's going to get worse. Let's begin right here. We're going to talk about the bank holiday. No, not an old movie, but what we see now. Let's start with this, though. Banks are dumping more customers without any warning. A new investigation shows how a surge in SARs notifications has led banks to abruptly cut off clients. What is that all about? Well, here, the New York Times started doing this investigation and found essentially that individuals can't pay their bills on time. When the institutions close their credit cards, their credit scores can suffer, and upon cancellation, small businesses often struggle to make payroll and must explain to the vendors and partners that they don't have a bank account for the time being. This is a suspicious activity report. They can't do what they need to do because that bank decided that they should not be given access to their money. Remember, it's their money. And this goes far beyond that. Why can you not access what is truly yours? Is it because you're suspicious? Is it because of your activity? Or could it be, just possibly, that they didn't like what you did? They didn't like something you said, or maybe it's just a mistake. Maybe you had the same name as somebody else who did something that they shouldn't have. Either way, you don't have access to your money. And maybe it's an emergency and you really do need it right now and you can't get it. Well, this is going to become more and more common the further we move into the cashless society. And to me, this is outrageous that we have given so much control to these institutions. The way it worked before was that you would have your gold and you wanted to get a paper note from that, and you would bring your gold in and then you can get your paper back because it's easier to deal with the paper. And the bank would simply hold that for you and everything was all good. Everything was normal. But they changed that and they said, look, we're going to do away with the gold. It's just going to be paper. And in fact, it's going to say Federal Reserve note on it. It has nothing to do with the government anymore. And this private institution is going to take care of the whole thing. That's a problem, right? That's kind of an issue. So we can see how this has been over the last while, and it is not positive because these type of events do occur. This is just one talking about the bank run that helped create the Great Depression. So we can get into that. We can look at this over time. Bank runs can create chaos. In fact, so much so that it can unravel the financial system. What about SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, where this one institution was kind of central, but there were several others during that time started to fail. A bank run started to, put pressure on the bank. They couldn't keep up with it and they had some problems, but it was, fueled and let's just say, became much worse than what it could have been because why? People were overreacting to the news of, oh no, my deposits are not going to be safe. Give me my money. And so they went in, took everything they could, even though the FDIC, they would have been bailed out. Perhaps there would have been no issue, but people deserve their money. And so they went there and said, I'm going to go and get it. And so they did, and it caused a crisis. That was in 2023. You didn't have to look back 100 years ago. These events still do happen. In fact, they happen more than you would think. But understand that what we're talking about is a multifaceted approach to the control of the financial system. You can't do this overnight, and it can't be done with one institution, and it needs to be discussed in depth. This is one other aspect. Several major US banks on Friday experienced outages caused by a processing issue that led to deposit delays for customers. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, Truist, and US Bank were among the institutions affected. This affected ACH, which of course is your online transfers. Hey, is anyone else having issues with your direct deposit? Apparently, the Fed ACH clearinghouse servers went down and nobody was notified. And there you can go. There you can see it right there at the bottom. How many people were dealing with that? We have bank closures. This is the first Iowa bank closure since 2011. You may have heard of it, Citizens Bank. Look, it almost made it to its 100-year-old birthday, and then it failed. These things are happening. Look, it's not a big bank, okay? Bank reported $65 million in assets, but it's still significant, okay? I know a lot of YouTubers are using it as the clickbait. It's not a big bank, okay? But it still shows us that there are banks that are failing. You got to understand this. I'll show you in a second here how many banks have actually failed. I'll give you the whole list if you're interested in checking that out. There's a big list, a long list of banks that have failed. Now, a lot of those happened during the financial crisis and all the way into 2011. So you start asking the question, so what? So what, right? Well, what do we have here? We have more and more control from these financial establishments. Look at what happened during the financial crisis. It was pretty clear that there was a lot of, under the table dealings, that it was kind of, okay, I'm not going to look at that. Ninja loans, okay, let's just pretend that that's okay, even though clearly it's not. The rating agencies turned the other way. Everybody involved was complicit. They all knew there was a problem, but as long as everybody just shut up, that this could continue for more and more and more. Who knows when that would be a problem, but as long as we just shut up right now, we'll be able to, keep this thing going. Everybody was making money. And then we had one after the other start to fall. You got to realize right now that these establishments operate on the notion that a bubble can form and we don't need to worry. That's really what they do. These institutions need that because they all start throwing their cash at it. They want profit. They cannot look at 2 years into the future. They look at most a quarter. The next quarter, that's it. That's where they go. So you have a central bank that enables all of this. You keep interest rates. People, the articles, the analysts, the YouTubers, they will point to, what has happened right now. Oh no, the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates and that's such a problem. They need to cut right away. Are we going to ignore the fact that they kept interest rates super low for super long, and that created the problem in the first place? I mean, we can keep going back cycles after cycles after cycles and realize it's only gotten worse. But let's just take it from the financial crisis. You can see how these problems unfold, and it is very clear to me what has happened. The banking system is not safe. Your money is not safe in it. Yeah, we need to use it. We need to transact internationally. I spread my money around different banks. When I need to transact internationally with different institutions because I'm bringing money in from different places, you got to use these. But do I want to keep savings there? Absolutely not. I want to make those savings work for me, and I want to invest in real assets. That could be something like precious metals. That could be real estate. That could be something tangible like a business. In a business, you have inventory potentially. The business itself, you have IP. You have everything that could benefit you there potentially. And that is a real good. We're not talking about something that is nonsense, that's in the air, that might be something at a later date. No, we want the real goods. We have control. That's the point. We have control over it. And this world that we are in right now, we have so little control. We're giving up that control. We're ceding control to these institutions by putting our money with them, by giving them everything. And yet we need to be going in the opposite direction. Take more control. That's my message to you. Okay. This is just talking further about that particular bank that failed. You can see the list for yourself. Failed bank list. Go through it and you will see, if they have it here, 568 banks that have failed in the US. 568 banks. And that's not other institutions, that's just the banks. This is from the FDIC's website. So you can check that out. Over and over again, we do see this, and it's not unusual necessarily to see a bank fail, but why? Why are they failing, and what does that mean to you? If you didn't have your money with that bank, you may say, well, who cares? But understand what's going on. There's a big problem right now in the financial industry, and that was because they kept interest rates too low for too long. If you want more details, you got to go over to my website, themoneygps.com. The link will be in the description, and you can check out Compass if you would like. If you want to take advantage of what's happening here, of course, I have my small Zoom classes that I do, and you can get in on that. The link in the description under the mentorship link, you'll see there if you want to check that out as well. Compass is totally free. There's no cost for that, themoneygps.com. And then we have, of course, the comment of the day. I love your comments. Mark had this to say: I can remember when a bag of potato chips was actually 16 ounces. And now you're lucky if you get 9.75 ounces. Look at what's happening to the value of your money. It's being degraded. It's being dissolved. That's the world we live in right now. And I hope that things will change. We need to do what we can today. If you appreciate this message, hit that thumbs up button. When you do, you're supporting me. You're basically telling the algorithm, like, this is good stuff. If you don't have any family members, coworkers, or things that you want to share with, at least hitting that thumbs up does support the channel. I want to bring you the latest and greatest. I want to bring you the hard-hitting information, and I need your help. So thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.